car rental business isn't making the money that you thought it would, or even worse, you're struggling to stay afloat, there's a good chance that you're making one of the 3 mistakes that I'm going to be going over in this video. And who am I to tell you about your car rental business? My name's Peter, been in the car rental business now for over the last 5 years, scaled from 5 cars upwards to 50 cars now, and also helped over 70 clients in the last year start or scale their car rental business. Now let's get into what are these mistakes. The first mistake that you're making while you're not making money or you're breaking even is you're treating your business like a side hustle. Now what I'm going to do for you is give you 2 different kinds of people, right? One person's name is James, the other one is Jimmy. So James treats his business like a business. What does that mean? He has automation set up. He has standard operating procedures in place. He's looking at his numbers on a weekly basis. And what numbers should you be looking at? You should be looking at your utilization. For those that are new, utilization is how often that your car is being rented on a monthly basis. Should be above 80% in a good market. Looking at the profit margins. Look, James did not get into this business to break even or just to tell people that he is a business. He got into it because he wanted to make money to support his lifestyle or to support his family. James has been doing the business for a year. He had the proper bookkeeping in place, the proper systems. He went from 0 to 10 cars. He was able to get 10 cars because he had the right books. He was able to get financing. And he bought the right cars, so he has, let's say he has a 40% profit margin. James is doing well. On the other end, there's Jim. Jim bought 1 car. He didn't set it up in a company. He didn't have any bookkeeping. He wasn't writing down his standard operating procedures. He wasn't looking at his numbers. So let's say in a year he grew to 3 cars, but he doesn't understand why his bank account's always at 0. He's like, I just don't know. Like, I feel like I'm doing everything right. But James didn't have his systems in order. But that's the point here, is you have to treat it like a business. Now, the next thing I want to go over is choosing the right vehicles. Big mistake that I see people make is they get into the business and they immediately think, okay, Turo advertises fancy cars. Fancy cars must be the best thing to rent out. It's not always the case. And also the BMWs, the Mercedes, the Audis, maintenance is high on those cars. But again, I'm going to give you another story for how big of a difference that cars make. There was a client that we were working with specifically based out of Florida near the Miami area. When they came to us, they had 2 vehicles. One vehicle was a Toyota Corolla. It was renting out a ton. When I say a ton, over an 80% utilization. The other car was a nicer Model S Tesla that was not renting out as much. It wasn't renting out enough to pay the payment. Now, the moral of this story is if this client, now they came to us and we've worked with it to get the Tesla to be rented out so it makes a little bit of profit. But again, looking at the right cars in the beginning is crucial. If this client went and they did the research beforehand, they would have saw that that nice Model S Tesla, utilization's not great on it. They could have got 2 Corollas and had significantly more profit than what they had with the Corolla and with the Tesla. The big thing here is you've got to do the research specifically for your market. When I'm saying the research, look at the utilization, look at the amount that the car is actually renting for, so you can see if it makes sense for you to buy that vehicle. Now, the next mistake, and this is honestly the biggest one that we see people make, specifically new clients that come to us, is that you're not tracking your metrics. And I learned this from a mentor myself. If you are not making decisions based on data, then what are you making them based off of? Your emotions? Your emotions aren't making you money. The data is how you're going to make money. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. What should we be looking at data-wise? So one of the big things that I'm looking at is utilization. This is showing me how often that my cars are rented. If a utilization for a vehicle drops below 80%, now I'm going to meet with my rental car manager and say, okay, do the pictures look good on that? Does the description look good? What does the pricing look like? What's our back-end settings looking like? Are we offering any discounts? We're going to make tweaks where they need to be made to see when that car gets above 80%. The next thing is you must be tracking your books. What does this mean? Now, for those of you that are new to business, I'm talking about a P&L statement or a profit and loss statement. This is basically going to segregate out your income versus your expenses, and it's going to show you how much money that you're making at the end of every month, at the end of every year. You need to be looking at that because even if you have finance cars, at the very least, you should be operating at a 20% profit margin, which means after all of your expenses, so I'll give you guys an easy example. Let's say that you have one car brings in $1,000 a month. If you do not have $200 in profit at the end of the month, there's a problem. There's something that you're not doing the right way, and you need to look at that. Whether if you purchased a car and the financing was all out of whack, it was too high, whether if there's some expenses that you're paying too much for washes or detailing, or you're not getting your proper reimbursements, you need to be looking at this stuff. And let me tell you, so it's important to understand the health of your business. The next thing is that, again, this channel, I'm speaking to people that are serious about scaling this business. If that's you, then that means that you probably want to get financing within the first 1 to 3 years of starting your business. You're not going to get financing if you don't know your numbers. If you go to a bank or a financial institution and they're like, oh, hey, what's your profit margin? Well, I don't know. What is that? You know what the bank's going to do? Bye-bye. I want James that knows his profit margin. I want to know what exactly are your expenses? What is your profit? Because if we give you funding, are we going to get our money back? Or are we just giving money to a charity? So if you do want to scale your business, you must have the proper bookkeeping. There are softwares out there that you can use that can help you with this. You can also hire a bookkeeper, a little bit expensive. Might want to learn how to do it on your own before you do that. But you gotta make sure your books are in order from day one if you are serious about scaling. Now you could tell me, hey Peter, I just want to make a couple $100 a month. Then maybe you don't want to track these things. But if you want thousands of dollars to come in from this business on a monthly basis, you got to look at your metrics because they make sense. Now, what's the playbook to fix these problems? So number one, treat this like a business. Get your SOPs in order. Make sure that you're tracking the metrics that are important, such as utilization, what's your daily pricing, all of those. And make sure that your bookkeeping looks good. Next thing, when you are purchasing cars, make sure that you have done the research to know if it's going to be a car that's going to actually rent out, and not just rent out, give you a healthy profit margin. Because if you go out and you get a $50,000 car only brings in $1,000 a month, oh my gosh, then we're talking it's going to take at least 5 years to get your money back on that car? That doesn't make sense, especially if you got a loan. I mean, you just wouldn't be making the money that you need to make. So do the research. Make sure you're getting the right cars, between 20 to 40% off market value. Good little tidbit for you guys. Last point, make sure that you are tracking your metrics. When I say that, utilization, profit and loss, make sure that if you don't know how to do bookkeeping, get somebody that does. Because if you do it the wrong way, you look at your profit and loss and you're like, oh, I'm making 50% profit. And then you go to a bank and they look at it and they're like, what are you talking about? You're only making a 20%. You didn't categorize that the right way. This should be over there. That should be over here. And now you're discouraged. You don't want that. Get it taken care of from day one. And if you're the kind of person where you want help with these things, we do have a program where we help people start or scale the business seriously. Now, George and I are extremely particular with who we let into the program. If you think you're one of those people that could do well, go to carrentalcoach.com, fill out our 60-second survey. If you're qualified to work with us, you'll be prompted to book a call with me, actually. On that call, we're going to look at your market, get an idea of your goals and your situation, and see if we could really build something worth value. So check that out if you're serious about growing. Besides that, that's the main things I wanted to go over in this video. Hope this helps you guys. I'll see you on the next one.